Keeping motivated even in the toughest moments. That's next on StonePark Podcast. Dream, build, connect. Hello again. I am your host, David. Across from me is my co-host, Carlos.
What's going on, David?
Hanging in there.
Hanging in there.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Hey, man. We're here, though.
StonePark Podcast, where we dream, build, and connect.
Yes, sir.
So, little small talk here.
Yeah.
Any shoes that you've purchased lately?
No. But my son got those.
Did he?
Yeah. He's been rocking them.
Okay. Yeah, I've gone on
He's happy.
I stopped.
Yeah, I haven't got any shoes in a minute.
I think COVID is when, it got vamped up and you're looking at sneakers, you're looking at all the hot releases.
Yeah.
And then as soon as everything kind of got back to normal, kind of died off.
I need to wear my shoes first before I buy new ones.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot I haven't even
Well, what's crazy is I got a ton of boxes from my in-laws. We were talking about moving last week. Ton of boxes, all shoes, and it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing when I was getting them from her basement.
Yeah.
And the whole family's out there. What's that? What's that? Like, oh, shoes.
Yeah, it's my fourth trip to the car with boxes and boxes.
It was embarrassing.
Yeah,
so that's you got a problem. But let's get into it.
All
Carlos,
right.
what motivates you in general? Motivation. What?
Man, I think this one's kind of universal for like mostly everybody, but for me personally, in general, family, of course, right? I think it's number one motivation for everyone. My kids, not just family, because if I say family, it's my cousin. It's not my cousin.
Yeah.
I love my cousins, but my kids,
Yeah.
my kids, my wife. 100%. What about you, man?
Same. I'd be a douchebag if I didn't say the same.
Yeah.
Especially the kids.
Yeah, for sure.
The kids put a different twist to it. You've been a father for many years. I'm just new to the game. So it's opened my eyes. It's given me another pep in my step.
Yeah, it's a different purpose.
Yeah, and I think the sleeping is different. When you have kids, you don't sleep, right? Mm-hmm. And then they finally get into their rhythm and you're allowed to sleep, but you're still on edge. And I feel that way.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
And I don't think that, there's no such thing as a nap, none of that. But definitely wife, kids do motivate. I'll be a little cheesy here. Being part of something that has to be created with others.
Yeah.
Right. So that, like, people depending on me, it motivates me.
Yeah, me too.
Because
me too.
They're waiting for that document. They're waiting for me to show up. They're waiting for me to do something, and I can't let them down. Yeah. I never want to let them down because I never want to show them that I don't care or I'm not part of it. Kind of like that FOMO, fear of missing out in a way. That you just want to be with the crew.
Yeah. For myself, it's pretty similar. But besides family, like I said, my children, my wife, my immediate household, you know what I mean? It's personal achievement, just feeling achieved, feeling like I did something personally, like knowing that I accomplished something that I set myself to get, for whatever it is. So if I say, hey, I'm going to paint this room today. It needs to be completed. Knowing that I did it, if it's completed, I feel good about myself. So just the personal achievement of completion, like I really like. It's motivational.
I agree with that. Something different with you that I can't experience, probably will never experience. Carlos is a battle rapper. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, what motivates you to do that? What is it about? Just winning? Is it about getting praise? Is it about, I don't know, recording it and making it into some type of mixtape?
Yeah. So
Let me in.
it's a little bit of both, which is also one of the motivations of mine is legacy, leaving a legacy, leaving a memory, leaving something behind. Motivation is also winning, wanting to win. But the biggest motivation for me is the legacy part. Like, I think that's even a deeper motivation for me, like the legacy of what it is that I'm gonna be remembered for. Because we're not here eternally, but whatever's left behind, the memory is, and I feel like that is the major motivation, and not only for myself, but also for my family, my great grandkids that are going to be able to look back and see whatever I accomplished. Which, if it was a rap battle, if that's what I did, hey, grandpa was a battle rapper. He was a rapper. Oh, really? Yeah. Look, we could look him up on this and find me, and then they could see that, hey, old grandpa was kicking up some raps. You know what I mean? And at that time, which is my time, that's what I did. You know what I mean? And it's just a legacy part, and I also I combine that with just anything else, you know what I mean, when it comes to motivation. It's just, a legacy. It's a thing, something that, the immediate family, the people that I care about could look back and say, yeah, my dad did that, my husband did that, and so on.
And also with the battle rapping that led into you producing. Right? Making beats.
And
you have your own
music
studio.
related. 100%. As an artist, I remember just having to go to a music studio to go record, a mixtape, and then having to leave and time being up. You know what I mean? I'm just like, man, and pay my hourly rate and then leave and just have to wait till next time I could set up an appointment. And I remember always being like, man, when I get my own studio, man, I'm gonna just have it in the house, and I could record whenever I want, and and it's just another motivation now when I go to that room and I'm just like, all right, like I have it now. So
I was about to say that you were motivated to get that studio.
Yeah.
It's funny that we live in a time that there was none of the accessibility that is there for entrepreneurs or young kids right now, right? So I was watching something the other day. HBO, they had this old school kind of like theme music, and it would play in front of every, I don't know, featured event or something like that. And I don't know if you remember, it's like they made it out of they made this city like a model city.
Okay.
A huge model city. I think it was like New York or whatever. And they start with, and this is before CGI or any of that stuff. So you had people actually putting models together, and they, film to a couple normal, and then they pull out of their window, and then that goes into the model city, and then it goes all the way up to the sky, and it says HBO. And I was looking at it, and my sister and I, we were texting each other. She showed me the making of it, and we were just kind of reminiscing about the 80s and 90s. And I thought about it. I said, man, will kids have that type of memory now? Because it's all kind of spread out. HBO, if you had HBO, you were it.
Yeah.
You were spending money. My mom didn't, and I laughed because I texted her, and my cousin Vanessa, they had the HBO
Showtime,
and they lived in another state. So it was like a treat, every year when we come for Christmas or whatever, I'm watching HBO. And those memories, now everything, the access is right there. I mean, you got everything. Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, now HBO is Max. You have everything, and you hear at a makeshift studio renting it or whatever and saying to yourself, you know what? I can pay. I'll put this together. And now people do it like that.
Yeah.
So we take that for granted. But enough of being happy and smiling and all that stuff. Let's get a little dark here. What really, really, truly motivates you? And I can go first to give you an understanding of what I'm asking. Fear. Back against the wall.
Yeah.
Sleepless nights of how I'm going to make it. Really waking up every hour on the hour and just looking at a ceiling and thinking, how am I going to get myself out of this situation? How am I going to make it? How am I going to make payroll? How am I going to provide for my family? All that stuff. That to me is the dirty motivation. That failure is not an option. So I must like kind of looking at myself in the mirror and saying, I got to do this.
Yeah.
And I want to be real because the kids and the family and the dreams, that's a nice picture that we're painting. And it's true. Those are motivators. But in your own business and entrepreneurship, it hits the fan quick, and it's always hitting to the point where that's kind of the normal way of living.
Yeah.
And if
it becomes the normal, man.
Yeah. You told someone what you're going through, they're like, yo, dude, you're crazy.
Yeah.
And for me, I think fear is the biggest motivator. What about you?
Time. Because time is short. Time is limited. That time clock is always ticking. And you don't know when it's clock out. And all you have is just FedEx man telling you you're still in the game. You know what I mean? But then when the moment that you're not in the game no more, clock's out.
Sometimes I trip out and I'm thinking, what if I was dead right now?
Yeah.
And I don't even know it. And I'm here thinking that I'm doing stuff, but I'm already, whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm driving, when I get in a close call and you're like, whoo, and you get that feeling, that gut check, I almost think that you expired right there. And then you're basically like that self expired. When I say expired, dead.
Yeah.
And then you're given another shot. And then you go off like you didn't
It's
know.
one of the lives.
One of the lives. And and I'm always thinking that, and I'm not to where I'm going crazy, but how are we looking at things the same way? Like, how are you looking at me the way I look at myself? It's all, people could say, oh yeah, this is what it is. This is what it's supposed to be. But we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know anything.
Right.
And when it comes to life and death and what you're here for, and when you're working real hard, you question those things. And I know it sounds kind of crazy, but if you're an entrepreneur, I think you get what I'm saying. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I killing myself? And you got to...
What's it all for?
What is it all for?
Mm-hmm.
What is it all for? It could be for legacy, right? That was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how we haven't said money.
Yeah, because that's
We haven't said money.
Yeah, because this
and it's a temp.
I mean, obviously, money is important. Or like to me, it's like it's obviously it's important. Unfortunately, it's part of life, and it's unfortunately that it is part of what's needed to move on, but it's not needed for happiness and for fulfillment. And that's the reason why it's not even like a thought right now. The only reason I'm just even thinking about it is because you brought it up, because you mentioned it. Mm-hmm. But money was not even nowhere near as important for me or motivational as time. You know what I mean? I feel like time, because money can buy you more time. Mm-hmm. Money can buy you nothing. Mm-hmm. A legacy. It can't. It can't. Or memory. Can't. It's just experiences, you know what I mean? And just going through whatever it is, whether it's good or bad, and the motivation to be able to pull through the bad, and then once you get to the, triumph, and you get to that, you get to that, completing an achievement, Nothing buys that, man. There's no money in the world that could pay for that feeling. Come on.
Yeah, it's very temporary, and I've said it before that I've gotten big checks and I felt empty inside. Not, oh, this is bad. It's good.
Yeah.
But when you have that money, it doesn't end there. And that money isn't really real because you got to pay taxes on it. You got to go to your next venture. You got to take a little off the top for yourself. You got to pay back what you owe.
Right.
You might put things on credit or gotten a loan or something like that. So there's an empty feeling, but it does feel good to accomplish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then get to the next step. So that does help, and the money does help with that. But when it comes to the overall fulfillment and the motivation, how many things can you buy? You could buy your house, you could buy clothes, you can buy, vacations. You can do a lot of stuff.
But you can't take that with you.
Can't take it with you. It makes things better.
Yeah.
I don't want to lie. People, you're BSing. No, I don't want to lie. It's good to have, and it makes things easier. But sometimes you just don't have it, and you need it to reinvest. You need it for payroll. You need it for other things. So you got to keep moving. So in order to keep moving, you got to have that motivation. So as an entrepreneur, there's going to be times where everything goes wrong. Carlos, what then? How do you break it down?
Man, it's tough. I just started looking at the problem for what it is. And it's that looking at the glass half full rather than half empty. And just know that it's not going to last forever. And just push through, man. Keep trucking. Simple. I mean, just keep pushing. That's it. It sounds kind of like a cop-out to the question, kind of like, oh, that's it. But it's really not. It's just keep pushing. That's it. It's just keep pushing.
Yeah, and then I don't want to say it gets easier, but you're better prepared for it the next time it comes around.
Yeah. Another thing that I do also, and sometimes my wife kind of gives me crap about it, is that she always says, well, not always, but she does bring it up a lot, especially when there's a lot of problems. She says, oh, you act like you don't care. And it's not that I don't care. It's just that I don't give it the energy to amplify it and make it a bigger thing. And I just keep pushing. I see it as like, all right, okay, the problem's here, right? What do you want me to do? It's here. Let's just get over it. What can I do to get over it? You know what I mean? And whatever it is, then that's what we just keep pushing.
You don't freak out.
Not at all, man. Like I'll sit back and maybe internally I do, but I never bring it out, and I don't show that emotion because I don't want to freak out the ones around me. So I'll just eat it. And maybe it's not a good thing, but that's how I kind of avoid spreading that energy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just keep it to myself and just minimize it and make it as insignificant, even though it could be a big problem. But I just fight it. And I'm just like, it's a mental thing. You know what I mean? And I just keep trucking. What about you?
Similar. Not really. I freak out a little more than that. I'm not as cool as you, but I have a lot of time to myself. So like you, I don't show it like that. But big issues, I tend to look at my life from young age, middle where I am now, where I'm going to be later on. And I think, is this going to break me? Is it going to break me? And usually the answer is always no. It's not going to break me. Yeah. And once I get myself out of that train of thought of, oh, everything's wrong and this and that, then I'm able to calm down and look at what's going on. And I usually write everything down on a sheet of paper. It could be 3 things, it could be 20 things, but I write it all down because it's almost like getting it all out. Like, let's not hide anything. What are the issues here? Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And then I look at all of them, and I look at what I can do now, what's a priority, what comes after that, and try to make the list as best as I can.
You have a very strategic approach to this.
Yeah. And then if this was it, right here, that's it. That's my mission, to get that one thing
you
done.
ignore, like, for that moment.
Yeah, because what you
rest.
said, it's here.
Mm-hmm.
The dudes are surrounded here. I'm surrounded. so it's kind of what you're telling your wife.
You're gonna go for the guy in front of you. Even
exactly.
If,
so we're going to take this guy out and
go one by one.
And go one by one. Yeah. But if you have a team, then it's a little better, because now I'm like, all right, Carlos, look, I'm going to get this guy right here.
You go left, I go right.
Exactly. And then if we have Mike, we tell him go to the back. And then slowly but surely, you start living within these issues. And one by one, they start getting knocked off.
Yeah.
And it's always important to look back. And that's why I like to write things down, because I like to go over stuff. I keep all my emails too. Sometimes when I have time, usually it's never, but when I have time, I'll go through old emails and see how I used to talk to people, or what I was asking for, or what people were asking.
That's good feedback. Sorry to cut you off, but that's good feedback for yourself.
For sure.
It's good to go back and see where have you improved or gone left.
Yeah.
To see what worked and what didn't work.
Exactly.
Exactly. Analyze the good as well as the bad, and see, what has worked.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And sometimes going back, you cringe, like looking at a photo of yourself back in the day.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, you're like, I don't want to see that. But sometimes you need to see those.
Yeah.
You need to see those pictures to be like, all right, man, don't do that again. So, and another thing is, and I think you relate to this, is the art of never giving up.
Yeah.
So it could be a good or bad thing, but it's what I tell my wife. Sometimes she got, let me think, when was the last time I told her this? A while ago. She got her master's, and she was a little older at the time. So, taking school off for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, and then going back to school.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then going to work and all that stuff, when some of these students don't have work. She had a full-time job. And she's telling me, I don't know how I'm gonna cram this in. And I said, look, this is what I used to tell myself when I had to study for tests. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to 7-Eleven, get a Code Red Mountain Dew, and I'm going to spend all night reading this stuff that I don't want to read, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to go wake up in the morning and take that test, and I'll get a good grade, because that's what I do. Mm-hmm. I know myself. And I said, I know that about you. There is no way that you're going to go to sleep right now. There's no way that you're just going to say, you know what, F this. And there are people like that. There are people like, hey, man, I don't care. Go to sleep.
Yeah.
Don't show up. Go there. Maybe with, hey, I'll eeny, meeny, miny, mo, whatever it is. But I'm not like that. And I said, I know you're not like that. And then she said, but that's easy for you to say. You don't have to study. But I'm telling you that that's what's going to happen. It's going to happen. Yeah. And I always used to tell her that, and then she didn't want to hear it. But it's the truth. It's the truth. And I think for me, when things get tight, when things aren't going right, I know that no matter what, I am going to figure it out. I have to.
Yeah. Or
I'll die trying. Right?
Yeah.
So those are the ways that I
what about those people, David, that say, you've been knocked down 4 times. You know what I mean? Like, when are you just going to understand why you keep getting up?
It's like Rocky, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm not blocking, and I'm getting hit like this and just falling down. Like, what's wrong with this dude? But you can't take that away from him.
That's
I mean,
right.
the dude, all he had to do is this or this or this. He was like,
and you know what, man? And the ref, it just lets it. The life is just lets it be, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Smack you around, man.
Yeah, but
it's like the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, it takes you in and spits you back out, right? And it's telling you, hey, man, get out of here. But what do as humans? We just run back in it and smacked again, and then people get smart. They get a boogie board, or they get, a surfboard, or they learn how to go under the way. It's just, that's kind of like what life is, or business.
Yeah. It's cliche, but I mean, 4 times you get dropped, that means that 4 times you got back up.
That's true.
So it's either how you see it. You could see it as like, oh man, that dude got knocked out 4 times. Well, hey man, 4 times? He got up 4 times. You know what I mean? So,
but you never hear that. That's the thing. Everyone keeps that a secret, and I want people to know that everyone, even successful people, are, it's a higher level, and maybe they have millions and millions of dollars and tons of businesses and hundreds of people working under them, but they got problems. Yeah, it's bigger problems, right? Yeah. So, I think about myself in my 20s and what the problems were back then and what my problems are right now.
No, they're amplified.
Right.
Definitely.
But when you're 20, just because you're 20, that's a big deal. It's just a big deal because you've never been through it before, and you really think you're going to die.
Yeah.
You really think that holy crap, I can't pay this off. I'm going to die. Yeah. That's what, and then as you get those battle scars and kind of have your approach as in, okay, it's in front of our doorstep, but what do you want me to do? You want me to panic? You want me to start?
Yeah.
What do you want? You want to die right now?
Yeah.
Like the worst thing that happens, so it's over?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the thing, man. I think the panic part is what kills the people faster than the actual problem. The panicking. And that's why I know it sounds like crazy to a lot of people, and they'll be like, it doesn't make any sense, but I really just try to, like, my wife tells me, like I said, she'll tell me, like, man, you always act like you don't care. Like, you don't take it serious. And it's not that. Yeah. It's just that I really maybe don't care. Yeah, I don't care. The problem, I don't care. Yeah. And so obviously I do, right? But it's just a mentality thing. That's just like a defensive mechanism to it. Like, I don't care. Like, what are your problem? I do care, obviously. But, it's definitely a way that I do get through stuff.
But I think it might be bad for you to hold it in, right?
Yeah.
So you need a punching bag, or you need something to kind of release.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm saying. Like, it might not be the best way. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that a psychiatrist or people that are like, therapists, right? I'm sure the therapist will be like, no, Mr. Martinez, I don't think that's, that's healthy for your mental health. And maybe they're right. You know what I mean? But it's just the way that I just kind of been trucking it. You know what I mean?
Right. But the flip side to that is when you keep calm, the people around you and under you keep calm as well.
Yeah.
Because if you're freaking out and you're the leader, if the leader's freaking out, or if the captain of the ship is putting his swimming trunks on.
Yeah. And that's, I kind of think about like Titanic.
Yeah.
When they hit the iceberg and.
So you be the dude with the violin.
Exactly. like, look.
I'd be the one. I have a child. I have a child.
For real.
So my wife always tells me.
I'd probably be the guy next to the raft trying to get the deal. Like, how much you got? Look, I'll get you in this joint right here, right now, $50. Yeah. Nah, man. But like, like the captain, he knew the problem was there. He knew demise was definitely gonna happen, right? But dude just was standing in front of the fireplace, right, with a cup of wine, and you know, the whole boat is like in a 90-degree angle. You know what I mean? And the dude is just there, hold on, like, you know what, man, like, you know, hey, yeah, it's going down, yeah, Jack. If I were you, I'll run, you know, but I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and it sucks, man. But you know, it's tough, man. It's when you're going through it, man. Like, keep trucking. That's just all I can say. Keep trucking and don't panic, because, like you said, if the leader panics, man, I mean, what it's, you know, like the body, the tail, it's gonna follow the head. So if the head goes down, the body, everything follows. You know.
What about people under you during those times? So you as a leader, what advice or what do you do to make them feel motivated? How do you motivate during tough times?
You know, I try to spread positivity. Just stay positive. That energy, man, it means a lot. You know what I mean? It's contagious. Again, if I start spreading negativity and showing that we're doomed and, hey, man, that's it. It's done. Bye. Everybody go home. And that's it. Then the morale for everybody just going to drop. You know what I mean? But if you can keep positive energy, the positive reinforcement, even though it might look kind of, you know, pretty dark, you know, but if you keep that little shine of light, you know, you still say, hey, look, man, there's still a little light at the end of that tunnel. I'm telling you, there's light back there. Just come on, keep following me. Let's go. You know, like, you still give that hope. And I think hope is also a very powerful word when it comes to motivation. Because if you have hope, then that means that, you know, there is a finish line. You know what I mean? And if, you know, you can get there. You know what I mean? So I just try to spread positivity.
Yeah, that's good. Also, a big one is appreciation. That you can be so in your head and thinking that you're doing 1,000 things when maybe the people under you might not be doing or have all those pressures on them. You can't lose sight of appreciating them during those times. And sometimes that's all they want. They just want to know that you know that they're there.
Yeah.
And that they're following you wherever you're going. But if you don't show that, and I think a lot of business owners fall victim to that, they put their stresses first, and I got to think of this. I got to get us out of here. And even though it's for the whole team, right, that's not being communicated with everybody. So how are they supposed to know when they drive off for work or going back home? How are they supposed to know exactly what you're thinking?
Yeah.
And what kind of motivation does that give them coming back and putting forth their best effort? Now, if there was communication as far as, hey, it's going to be a bumpy road. I appreciate you guys, you know, staying here with me. We're going to make it. Kind of like what you said, the hope. So appreciating, showing that there's hope, because that's another thing. If there isn't hope, if there isn't a light at the end of the tunnel, where are you leading these people, right? So you want to be, I guess another thing is honesty.
Yeah.
So you got hope, you got appreciation, and you got honesty.
Yeah, definitely, man. And another thing too is, you know, depending on your religion, religious beliefs, you know what I mean? Also God, you know what I mean? If you have the faith in God and you know, you have, that's one of your strongholds as well in your life, that's also another crutch, you know what I mean, that you have, and you always feel as if you're going to be okay. You know what I mean? So, you know, like I said, you know, depending on whatever your beliefs are, for someone that's, you know, that believes in God, God is definitely a good source of hope and faith and everything to keep trucking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah, I agree with that. So now we're turning we're dream, build, connect,
Yeah.
right? So now we're turning this into nightmare, build, connect, because now the dream is turned into a nightmare. So what do you tell an entrepreneur that has all the qualities, has everything, the skill, the passion, the drive, and everything is just going wrong? I think you kind of answered that with God. Do you have anything else that you would tell them?
Yeah, I would tell them, what's the problem?
That's true.
What's the problem? I mean, what's the question? You said, what would I tell a person who has the skill, the passion, and the qualities? You what's the problem? You have three things that are the most important things to be able to get through things. Like, you're equipped. It's like you're asking me, hey, what would you tell a soldier that has all the ammunition and all the weaponry in the war? I mean, you have the weapon. You have it, man.
That's
like,
true. That's true.
What's the problem? There's no problem. You know what I mean? Like,
well, the problem could be that there's always something.
Right. But you have the skill. You have the passion, which is crazy. If you have a skill with no passion, that's pointless. If you have the qualities and the skill with no passion, is pointless. If you have a passion with no skill and no qualities, it's pointless. So you have the skill, the passion, and the qualities. So if everything is going wrong, keep trucking, because you have the qualities.
I agree.
But it is tough.
Yeah, giving up is it's probably the easiest thing that you can do, right? Like, we can just hit stop and then go home. We can stop this podcast.
Easy.
That's very easy, right?
Easy.
The hard thing is to go through it, edit it, mix it, all that stuff, put it out there, promote it. That's the hard stuff. And how do you know, and I know it sounds cliche, but how do you know that if you would have just gone a little bit more, that opportunity that you were waiting for, that you were hoping for, is right there?
It happens all the time, and sometimes we don't even know it.
That's true too.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
There's a lot of things that have gone on with my business that in my mind I complain, like, oh, I'm not as lucky as this person, or we got a bad break here. And it's very easy to point out the negatives.
Right.
But if you step back and say, well, I was here 20 years ago, I was here 15 years ago, I was here 10, 5 now, and you look at the progression, that's a lucky thing too, to still be in the game and still grow and still be successful.
Yeah.
So you're not going to hit the lottery. And some people do. It's weird. Like, some people will get out of the real estate game as soon as it goes bad, and they took all the money and then they invest in something else. Those people just have a lucky star, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But for you to build your business around a lucky star,
Yeah, no, it's
no, man.
Yeah.
And you laugh because you know it. You're lucky to be happy once in a while, which is crazy. But going back to our advice to the dream turning into a nightmare, let's break it down realistically, right? So we'll use real estate as an example. The rates killed us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we were selling units super quick. And we actually have one building where it's kind of going against the grain, where we're under contract 8 of the 10 units, which is great. And it happened fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But other than that building, it's been a grind for the last, I would say, year and a half, 2 years. The rates have really hurt us. Now, we could easily complain, and we could easily close up shop, and we can just say, you know what, everyone go home. We're gonna wait until these things sell, and then we'll re-up when we have money. But instead, we started looking for construction jobs. We saw this early on, and we've been through it. That's another thing. The experience of this happening in 2008, this happened to us already. So when you see stuff that makes it so your business is going to go in the dumpster, you pick up on stuff, and instead of crying, you got to pivot. You got to figure something out.
Yeah.
Because if not, there will be no business. So that's the thing. You have to keep on working. So instead of blaming the interest rates, you got to know that these interest rates are there. And if they go down, great. But for now, they're high. And for now, you got people to feed. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. You got to know that it's part of the game. And it's kind of like, you know that in sports, you're going to get fouled. You're going to probably get hurt. There's a possibility for something, something happening. So I guess with these interest rates, it's just, it's a foul. Like, it's 15 yards back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we know that it's going to happen. Yeah. It's a possibility that it can happen. And like you said, I mean, you've been through it before, and it goes back into experience. You know what I mean? Like, if you never done it before, you would be dealing with it for the first time now. And you just probably would have been reacting to it different. Maybe the way that you reacted to it in 2008.
Yeah.
And it's all a process, man.
And that's why you got to have mentors. You got to have people that you can rely on, people that you can talk to. It can't just be you and your team. Because remember, your team could be filled with yes men and women. That, that's a great idea. But you might want someone to tell you, no, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Why? You should do this. You should do that. And you get as many opinions as you can, people that you trust to get you through. And they might have some crazy ideas that maybe one of them might work. And you say to yourself, you know what? 5 years down the road, hey, remember you told me that? I did it and I got through.
Yeah.
And then now you're telling the other person, like, okay, what you were saying, what's the problem? You got all the ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
What is the problem? There is a lot of pain in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So why do it? Because I don't want
why?
It's been kind of a negative tone. So let's try to close out with a little more positivity.
Well,
why do it, Carlos? Why are we doing it?
Personally, my thing is, again, I go back to the journey, to the story, to your story, to your journey individually. The legacy, life, purpose, like I said, time, it all ties in together. We're here on a temporary time, right? And whatever we can do to give us that satisfaction of achieving something that we set our minds to and our goals to, that can leave our family better off, or even with a better mind, an idea for them to get the baton and run with it, and pass the torch. Break maybe, generational curses. I think it's super important. It could be a motivation of why you do it. Me personally, it's the journey. Like I said, just the story of Carlos. You know what I mean? What did I do in my life? Where did it start? Similar to you, where is it at now? Where would it end? And I want that story to be the story of somebody that never gave up and just keep trucking.
Mm-hmm.
That's mine. What about yours?
I don't think I'm going to say anything better than what you just said. I mean, that's pretty much the same thing. I think that definitely I look at it like a movie, like what you just said, a story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in the beginning, I thought one way, and I thought it was going to play out one way.
Mm-hmm.
and all the struggle, all the relationships that I made, experiences, everything has made me into the person I am.
Right.
And I wouldn't change that. And I feel that if I didn't go out on my own, I would have always questioned it. I felt that I could have gone in a different direction, and I'm glad that I went this direction, but it is painful. It is painful.
Yeah.
And what I would want someone to get out of this is that in a weird way, we're kind of all hurting, but in a good way, because if you know that it's not always going to be like this, and you know that you chose to go this path, there's some comfort in that. And really hanging out with people that are doing the same thing helps, because you'll learn a lot, but you'll also feel that you made the right choice. So obviously, I think in life you want to be happy, and I think this road that we're on is it's a depressing route. It's a depressing route.
Yeah, I mean, our roads sometimes, you might go through a little section that's gravel,
Right.
and it's bumpy.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got little potholes here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually you get to that road where it's nice and smooth, man. New asphalt.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And that's the flip side to it.
Yeah.
So those wins are really, really good wins.
Yeah.
And
They
let's say
mean more, man.
What was that?
They mean a lot more.
For sure.
I'll go back to your wife, right? Like you said, when she got her master's, right? She got it while she was working,
Mm-hmm.
right? She already had a full-time job. And so it meant more to her now than it would have when she would have just got it like those kids that were getting it right off.
For sure.
I'm sure, of course it's meaningful regardless, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it meant more to her
Mm-hmm.
because she was able to achieve that and get it going against the grain of, hey, I got to do this. I got this. Like, got so much going on. And she was able to truck through that. You know what I'm saying? So if anything, it was tough, got over it, and it meant a lot more
Mm-hmm.
to her. You know what I mean? And to those around, which was also you, because it made you proud.
Oh,
You know what I
sure.
mean? So I think, man, it's something that keep doing it, keep going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going through it. You know what I mean? So I guess from this podcast, from this topic, just know that everybody's going through it in one way or another in different tiers, right? Some probably got less problems, some got more problems, but it's still a problem. Maybe to you it's not a bigger problem, but to the other man, to the other woman, it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like I said, it's different tiers. It's just different levels to it. But a problem is a problem regardless. So,
Mm-hmm. Carlos, I agree with you 1,000%. There is no easy road to success. The majority of the time, you're going to get your ass kicked.
Yep.
But the wins are much greater. There's no other feeling like a win of an entrepreneur, business owner. Nothing like it.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. So if you want to connect with us, we have an email, connect@stonepark.com. We're also on YouTube, StonePark Podcast. We're also on all major podcast platforms, so please show some love. Carlos, anything?
Yeah, if you want to, just listen to the audio, as David said, you can find us in all podcast platforms just for audio. You can listen to us on your commute to work or from. You want to watch our pretty faces? You can hit us up on Facebook.
We'll end it there.
On
Dream,
YouTube.
Build, connect.
All right.